Today, Nigerian government develops national policy in support of 3 tiers of government. United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed advocates global best decisions towards achieving safe planet. Cameroonian and Nigerian forces meet to strengthen border operations. Join me as we take the news in full. And every year on December 5th, the world observes International Volunteer Day to celebrate the commitment and contributions of volunteers globally with the theme, Together We Can Through Volunteering. This year, United Nations highlighting the important contributions of volunteers to the response to COVID-19.
Here in Nigeria, UNHCR works with government, NGO partners and other UN agencies to provide humanitarian support and international protection to IDPs in the northeast and refugees from Cameroon in the south-south, and a few urban refugees are scattered around urban centers all over Nigeria.
Meanwhile, a national policy on inclusive volunteerism is being developed to support developmental efforts across the 3 tiers of government. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, stated this at a World Press Conference to herald the International Volunteer Day 2020. Mitarik Ben reports.
Volunteers give time and skills for societal benefit without expecting remuneration, and United Nations celebrates this virtue on International Volunteer Day every 5th of December. The theme for this year, Together We Can Through Volunteering, underscores the role of volunteers in managing COVID-19 pandemic worldwide. The SGF at this briefing says the federal government is expanding the frontiers of volunteerism in Nigeria.
The national policy on inclusive volunteerism, which clearly sets out a framework by coordination and implementation, will soon be presented to the Federal Executive Council for adoption. I also want to use this opportunity in calling on all Nigerians to dust up their inherent spirit of volunteerism, which has always been our way of life, as we are all known to be our brothers' keepers.
Nigeria will mark this year's International Volunteer Day with a humanitarian mission to rural communities in the FCT. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
And moving to other issues now, if the world makes the right decision now, it can meet humanitarian needs, reset developmental pathways, accelerate implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals on a safe, healthy planet. United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed said this at the informal meeting of the special session of the General Assembly in response to COVID-19 pandemic. Deborah Brooksling Sunday reports.
COVID-19, climate change, conflicts, and humanitarian needs are some of the challenges confronting the planet Earth at the moment.
Her Excellency Amina Mohammed to make a statement.
Nigeria's Amina Mohammed, who is the United Nations Deputy Scribe, said the people and the planet must come first in the UN's immediate response to the pandemic.
The decisions taken over the next 12 months will have impact for decades to come. It is essential that they be geared towards reducing poverty and inequality, realizing the rights of all women and girls, and transitioning to a green economy that provides decent work for all. We will strengthen our efforts to mobilize greater resources for countries and people in greatest need, based on the policy options that have emerged from the Initiative on Financing for Development in the era of COVID-19 and beyond.
The meeting is to assist countries implement social protection policies. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
And Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has expressed surprise as less attention is being paid to the barbaric and gruesome murder of security agents by hoodlums during the NSAS protests that turned violent. And Nifosin has a report.
The Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, said it is worrisome that everyone remained fixated on what he called the fake massacre at Lekki Toll Gate, with only few paying attention to the way and manner police and soldiers were killed.
In particular, policemen were hacked down in the most gruesome manner that calls into question the sanity of their killers. Yet, these security agents were treated as subhuman. Human rights organizations all but ignored the fact that 6 soldiers and 37 policemen were killed, some of them dismembered and cannibalized. The media report of the killings was perfunctory at best.
Chronicling the quantum of damage the nation's security agencies suffered, the minister noted that 8 medium security custodial centers in Edo, Lagos, Abia, Delta, Ondo and Ebonyi were attacked with 1,957 inmates, most of them dangerous criminals, set free. Added to that is the stealing of over 100 AK-47 rifles from different police stations. With this number of rifles in the hands of hoodlums, Lai Mohammed wondered how safe are the citizens.
You will understand the gravity of the situation. The specter of hoodlums armed with AK-47 roaming the streets and other roads will send jitters down the spine. Now this is haunting all of us. Wittingly or unwittingly, we have succeeded in scaring policemen off their beats. Today, many of them are even afraid to wear their uniforms. And the result has not been pleasant in terms of security of life and property.
To this end, he called on all Nigerians to see the provision of security as a collective responsibility of all. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And for some security reports, towards enhancing synergy to fight the common enemy, Cameroonian Defense Forces have met with their Nigerian counterpart to strengthen border operations. The security bilateral meeting took place at Headquarters Theatre Command Operations, Lafia Dole in Maiduguri. Maimuna Garba reports.
The visit by the Cameroonian Defense Forces is to further strengthen synergy between troops of the two countries, aimed at clearing remnants of Boko Haram terrorists along the country's border communities. It is also expected to share experience for more aggressive and robust operations to restore lasting peace to border areas, especially the Mandara Mountains. The visit under the platform of Multinational Joint Task Force was led by Cameroonian delegation Major General Sali Muhammadu. Meanwhile, Theatre Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Farouk Yahaya, has reiterated commitment of troops of the command to pursue and clear remnants of Boko Haram terrorists in the theatre. The theatre commander stated this while decorating 6 senior officers of the command who were recently promoted to their next ranks. Major General Yahaya charged the newly promoted officers to live up to the responsibilities of their new ranks and work gallantly to accomplish the task of clearing remnants of the terrorists. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Directorate of Defense Media Operations, DMO, says air interdiction missions conducted by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole have continued to intercept terrorist elements in the northeast zone of the country. DMO Coordinator Major General John Enenche says the latest includes mission conducted on 1st and 2nd of December 2020 and the subsidiary operation Wutartabki 2 at Bode and Mudu. Second settlement along the Yale-Kumshe axis of Borno State, as well as at a third location simply known as the S region within the heart of the Sambisa forest. The air strikes, which employed Nigerian Air Force fighter platforms, were accomplished after a series of intelligence and reconnaissance missions revealed a pattern of live evidence indicating that the 3 locations were being used as staging and storage areas for the terrorists. The airstrikes led to the neutralization of several insurgents and the destruction of the structures, including an anti-aircraft gun station. And to further evolve unique modern techniques for the operations of the armed forces and facilitate the ongoing self-reliance drive in equipment holdings of the military, the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, inaugurates office complex for the Defense Research and Development Bureau in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
With this, the Defense Research and Development Bureau, a critical component of the nation's security apparatus, can now boast of a befitting office complex and laboratory to carry out its mandate. The Bureau, established in 2017, is with a vision of becoming an internationally recognized research and development center, capable of meeting Nigeria's defense and security needs, while leveraging on indigenous and international partners.
In line with the Nigerian National Defense Policy, NNDP 2017, the Defense Research and Development Bureau, DRDB for short, was to coordinate activities of all defense-related laboratories as well as research and development in Nigeria.
To the Chief of Defense Staff, the current complex and dynamic security threats requires constant research.
This permanent office is a major milestone in attaining the desired plan for the growth of Defense Research and Development Bureau for the Armed Forces of Nigeria.
Our ability to develop and employ unique technology to confront unique security challenges will always give us the desired advantage over our adversaries.
More projects are ongoing at the Bureau's new site. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
We now turn our attention to politics, as Plateau State Governor Simon Bako Lalong has described the Southern Senatorial District by-election as peaceful, orderly and in compliance with COVID-19 protocols. The governor made this observation after casting his ballot alongside his wife at 001 polling unit LEA Primary School at Jikamai, Shandam local government area. Zenret Dungyum has this and other highlights of the exercise in Plateau.
The Southern Senatorial Zone by-election, held across the 6 local government areas of the zone, is to fill the vacuum created by the demise of Senator Ignatius Longjang in February 2020. The governor, in an interview with newsmen, described the voter turnout as impressive and said he has no doubt that his party, the APC, will emerge victorious at the polls.
That a lot of people came in very early. They have voted and they've gone back. So I've not gone around all the places, but I know that in this zone, people are very keen about voting.
Meanwhile, the major contenders for the by-election, All Progressives Congress candidate Professor Nora Dadut and the People's Democratic Party's candidate George Daika, casted their ballots at their respective polling units, where they commended the electoral body INEC for a smooth conduct of the by-election.
I want women to come out so that we can work together.
The day where I think the electors are allowed to exercise their franchise by exercising their civic rights and electing who they feel and believe that will be a true representative. Somebody they know that can deliver, somebody they know that can add value to their lives and society.
Similarly, the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives and member representing Wase Federal Constituency, Ahmed Idris Wase, has exercised his voting right in his polling unit in Bashar district of Wase local government area. As at the time of filing in this report, collation of results at INEC senatorial headquarters in Shandam has commenced.
This is the news on 90 International. More reports after the break. To stay with us.
Hey, beautiful, your eyes, your smile are all begging me to take you home tonight.
Now reading page 3.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
Dialogue, empathy, love, and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
We have lived in harmony with the Igbos, with the Hausas, with the Edo. Everybody that comes to this state, we have lived in harmony. Because we believe in the unity of this country.
We call for peace, we call for calm, but we also call for justice and accountability.
Let's build and not destroy.
Glad to have you back on the news. Now, mass vaccination program against COVID-19 begins in Russia, just as President Donald Trump orders withdrawal of U.S. troops from Somalia. Joyce Ometu has details of these and more on the Global Update.
Russia has started its COVID-19 vaccination program, with clinics in the capital, Moscow, immunizing those most at risk. Its own vaccine, Sputnik V, which was registered in August, is being used. Developers say it is 95% effective and causes no major side effects, but it is still undergoing mass testing. In the meantime, Iran has extended many coronavirus-related restrictions across the country as its COVID-19 death toll went past 50,000 on Saturday. Iran, the worst affected country in the Middle East, is battling its third wave of the pandemic. Case figures as registered on Worldometer coronavirus dashboard at 6 p.m. local time showed 66,420,470 infections worldwide, with more than 1.5 million fatalities. Meanwhile, Nigeria on Friday reported 324 new coronavirus cases. The Center for Disease Control in its daily update said the latest addition brings the total number of cases in the country to 68,627. In other news, President Donald Trump has ordered the withdrawal of nearly all U.S. troops from Somalia by 15th January 2021. The U.S. has about 700 troops in that country, helping local forces battle al-Shabaab and Islamic State militants. Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of Somalia in the waning days of his presidency has triggered dismay from Somalis, who appealed to the incoming U.S. president to reverse their decision. In China, at least 18 out of 24 persons trapped in the coal mine in southwestern city of Chongqing have died. Reports say this is the second of such accidents in just over 2 months. They died due to excessive levels of carbon monoxide. One survivor had been rescued while search efforts continue. And that's Global Updates. I am Joyce Ometu.
Many thanks, Joyce, for that package. And we'll start this report with a quote: "Keep soil alive, protect soil biodiversity." End of quote. That's the theme for the 2020 World Soil Day, commemorated globally to create awareness on the importance of sustaining healthy ecosystems and human well-being. Onegie Fineface reports on this commemoration in Abuja, championed by the Nigerian Institute of Soil Science.
The soil for food is an age-long practice and necessary venture for human survival. But the sustenance of food production depends largely on the health of the soil and its biodiversity. World Soil Day 2020 recognizes the import of a healthy soil on the health of humans.
By keeping the soil alive, by keeping protecting the biodiversity, that is the living organisms that we have in this soil, then we are trying to make our soil healthy, and our farmers can have something to rely on so that they can meet up with the demand, the food demand, that as our population is increasing every day. So with that, we are assured of food security.
As the government is attacking insurgency, government should also attack soil degradation in Nigeria. Pollution is everywhere.
In commemorating Soil Day, Nigerian Institute of Soil Science is drawing attention to healthy practices needed to protect the soil from the impact of degrading conditions like flood, erosion, pollution, and climate change. In Abuja, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
Now, the 2020 flooding of River Niger affected several communities and states across the country. The flood displaced millions of Nigerians, destroyed homes and homelands, and resulted in the loss of some lives. To checkmate the impact of the flood, the federal government is engaging stakeholders in a dialogue on the imperative for environmental governance in mitigating flood. Onegie Fineface again reports that the dialogue is at the instance of the National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency, NESRIA.
Having been armed with her amended Establishment Act to operationalize the gazetted National Environmental Regulations, some of which will have controlled flooding in Nigeria.
There is a memo that the ministry will be presenting to the National Economic Council, being chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, and to find out some of the ways that flooding can be controlled, can be mitigated, and we are going to do that presentation very soon.
Now, there must be a link between the organized private sector and the national innovation system for indigenous research and development results to be effectively commercialized for sufficient wealth creation and economic growth. The National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP, made this observation at a stakeholders forum on the promotion and commercialization of research and development results in Abuja. Justin Bem-Unyi reports.
An array of demand-driven innovations by Nigerian scientists and technologists here, as we see geophysical survey tools, mobile application creations, renewable energy solutions, amongst others. And this is the ingenuity of a few indigenous inventors. But as interesting as the skills and capacity of these indigenous researchers and innovators may seem, their efforts may remain on the shelves if not properly commercialized to translate to wealth and value creation to the national economy. And the forum here is to address the major challenges confronting innovation commercialization in Nigeria, as well as to encourage Nigerian researchers to direct their R&D efforts towards solving societal needs and problems.
We should appreciate that development of this country securely rests on us Nigerians. And since it's technology that is ruling the world now, our inventors, innovators, and researchers must have to be encouraged, because these are the drivers of the economy.
There were recommendations that the federal government mandate national institutions by an act of parliament to commence commercialization of domestic inventions and innovations, as well as put in place national intellectual property policies and its institutional framework. Justin Bem-Unyi, NTA News.
Now, Kogi State has adopted new strategies to key into the federal government's national response to poverty reduction, with beneficiaries from the unemployed and less privileged persons in rural communities across the state. Francis Udojo reports that so far, more than 40% of the indigenous populace have been captured in social support programs.
Gathered here are some of the beneficiaries of the Kogi State Youth Empowerment Social Support Program from about 17 local communities in the state, most of whom were from the poor, unemployed, and less privileged persons. The situation of these people had been on a difficult side to cater for their basic needs, but with the intervention of this venture, through trainings and startup capital, life will begin to take a different shape for them as well as their families and the society.
With the help of Yes now, I was able to do those things I could not do before. So I say big thank you to Yes.
And the money where they pay me, I go use that to open shop, to do business.
The target of the Youth Employment and Social Support Operation, a World Bank project in Kogi State, is to reduce poverty and vulnerability in the state through job creation. So far, 19,500 beneficiaries under the Professional Public Work Fair have been captured. Skills for Job has 7,900, while the Conditional Cash Transfer Program recorded 47,000 beneficiaries.
We have been able to see that
the consumption in these beneficiary households have increased based on the study. Not only that, you can also imagine the multiplier effect.
Now there's a platform for implementation and there's a database for the states. We can now key into the implementation of skill for jobs seamlessly and we get the beneficiary and we impact on the economy.
At the time, the Democratic Republic of Congo came to Nigeria to understudy the performance of Yesu, and they came to Kogi State to understudy. I'm talking of a country coming to learn from the state. So it cannot be better than that, and that's the best way to describe the program.
Meanwhile, with the closure of this intervention having been able to reduce the state's poverty rate of 57.5% to 47.2% as at 2015 to 2019, plans are already made to move the database of the poor and vulnerable into the National Social Safety Net Coordination Office that will in turn capture other communities yet to benefit from the program. From Lokoja, Francis Sudojo, NTA News.
And we now turn our attention to sports. Plateau United has crashed out of the 2020-2021 CAF Champions League after playing a goalless draw with Simba FC of Tanzania as Nigerians charge Flying Eagles to do the nation proud at the Zone B of Under-20 West Africa Football Union WAFU Zone in Benin Republic. Olumide Oguntola is our guide on the sports update.
Nigerians expressed hope that seven-time African champions, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, will soar at the Under-20 WAFU Zone B Championship currently going on in Benin Republic, charging the team to pick the maximum 3 points at stake in the opening game against Cote d'Ivoire on Sunday.
They've got all the motivation that they need, but it's going to be a very tough one.
Against all odds, we always get the job done. Well, let's try to help those people. And
still on football, the Nigerian Women Football League, assisted by its technical committee, has approved designated stadia for this season's league matches scheduled to kick off on the 9th of December 2020. This was after the final inspection of the facilities at the Lafayette Township Stadium, University of Benin football pitch, the ultra-modern Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, and the Legacy pitch inside the National Stadium Lagos, among others. From the continental scene, the president of the Nigerian Football Referees Association, Tade Aziz, has expressed excitement over its Nigerian appointment to officiate in the Confederation of African Football CAF Interclub competition this weekend, advising them to be good ambassadors of Nigeria. Elsewhere in Lagos, stakeholders in the world of sport during a webinar organized by renowned sports journalist Femi Adefeso have advocated recognition and adequate rewards for successful women in sports as means of inspiring parents and young girls to take sport as a career.
I really urge whoever is listening that has the authorities to invest in initiatives that will train women and girls. In
another development, the chairman Lagos State Badminton Association, Onome Obrute, has appealed to Nigerians to always engage in regular physical exercise as advised by medical practitioners to avoid needless poor health conditions.
Let us avoid this good fun me thing that is raining. You see someone that should have just eaten well, kept fit. The person will now have a diagnosis that he's dying.
He concluded that this is the brain behind his I'm Alive and Thankful 7-kilometer run and walk initiative. With sports update, Olumide Oguntola, NTA News.
All right, and that concludes the news on NTA International. But before we go, remember to connect with the NTA and stand against rape and rapists. I'm Chimobi Walter Naji. Good evening.